What it do? Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like the content. If you don't like the content, you can still like, share, and subscribe because you're helping me out, you're helping a brother out, and I would help you out. You know what I mean? Also, please make sure you comment. I like to have debates about basketball. That's why we created this channel. So make sure you comment, and I will reply in the comment section. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Let's jump right into this. Man down sports. LeBron James had no era. Now, some of you guys are absolutely like, what? What type of blasphemy is this? But I have to say, this is something that I've thought about before, and I haven't made a video on it yet, but it was something I was thinking about making a video on, but somebody beat me to it. Man Down Sports, one of the great YouTube channels that we have on the internet, one of the channels I followed way before I ever started my own channel, one of the channels that actually inspired me to decide to do my own thing, because I would listen and hear people call in, give great ideas, and I like listening to Mel and the gang. And then also on this video, he's working with Sports T, who I've also listened to in the past before, and I've agreed with her on some things as well. But in this particular one, they're talking about LeBron James not really having an era. And instead of me just giving you my 2 cents on exactly what I think, just right off the jump, let's listen to what they had to say, and then from time to time, I will stop and give my 2 cents. Let's check it out.
So, but that's if you ever saw the discussion in the beginning as legit. Like, I never saw the LeBron discussion as the greatest of this era. Like, I mean, he was just really great at fixing things around him to record certain, I don't know, milestones or get his team. Like, all that was just orchestrated, off-season moves and so many front office manipulations and all that. Like, all that, like, he was great at that. Like, him as a player wasn't the overwhelming factor in what success his team saw. It was what he did off the basketball court, front office wise, and teaming up and moving chess pieces around and firing that coach and getting that free agent and getting that player in the trade.
So that's Mel starting off when basically he's saying that, you know, this era, people, first off, if you don't take the LeBron GOAT debate seriously, which I personally don't, I don't think he's anywhere near a GOAT of the game of basketball. I think he's a great player, one of the greatest we've ever seen, but I don't think he's near GOAT, in my opinion. So Mel starts off by saying, if you see it that way, I don't see it that way. I never saw it that way. Partially because what Mel says next, which is basically like LeBron James has been a master manipulator of the game of basketball. And that's always, to me, I've always seen that as an issue. It could be as simple as if I'm going to play basketball at LA Fitness, it doesn't make sense to me that you're supposed to be the best player, but you try to pick up all the other best players in the gym. And you go out of your way to make sure that you always have the best players on your team. And then you go ahead and win, and everybody's like, oh man, he's the greatest of all time because he stands out amongst the best players because of his play style. LeBron James's play style is always going to make him heavy on the statistics, as is Luka Doncic, James Harden, outside of a playoff game that you need one, where he's trash because he chokes under the bright lights. Russ, when you give him the ball consistently, Joker, these guys are going to get their numbers because their game is encompassing a lot of different things. So they're always going to get their numbers, especially if you keep giving them the ball. If you keep giving them the ball, they're going to put up a lot of great numbers. And LeBron James is no different, especially when he gets the people around him to bow down to let him play his style, which he always needs to play to be effective. When he doesn't have the ball, he's not as effective. And he can play off ball, but it's still not, it doesn't look the same, and he doesn't seem as comfortable when he just has to be more of like an ISO scorer or something like that. But Mel's right. Essentially, you're taking LeBron James, he's manipulating the game. He's not going out there and just saying, oh, I'm the best because I'm the best. He's taking all the best players, and then he's saying that he's the best. I was taught that if you are the best, you play with a squad that's good, and you lead that squad to victory. It's you versus the other team's best player or maybe you're one of the best players on the team, or even if you're just like the fourth or fifth best guy on the team, you still come to play, you put your hard hat on, and you compete. Like, reminds me of like Derek Fisher on the Lakers back in the day. Derek Fisher is not better than anybody's point guard. I don't think he really ever was. But he was there to compete. And Kobe trusted him, Phil Jackson trusted him to win championships, right? But LeBron just manipulates the game, so is he really that good, or is it the manipulation? Because if everybody could manipulate the game like that, what would Carmelo be if he was able to manipulate and grab and pull players that best suited him to the Knicks at the time or the Nuggets at the time, and he had that much pull and sway? What would he have been? Let's continue listening.
But the rings are not the rings aren't even connected to how great he is as a player. The rings are connected to how he was able to team up with Kevin Durant to get two of them.
Well, sure, but so are LeBron's rings. So those two people are being compared to, those two people are being compared to each other. The playing field is level. When Kevin Durant teamed up with Golden State, all they did was level the playing field. LeBron had a super team that he was going to steamroll through the league with, and he was. He was going to the finals every single year. So Golden State, just what they did was make it fair. They made it a series. They made it, competitive. And people will say that it wasn't fair, but we both know it was. When we line up those teams, Kevin Durant's a small forward for a small forward. What? So LeBron James is only allowed to compete against an aging Iguodala? Like that has to be his head-to-head player. Like, he's just supposed to guard Steph Curry all night. Like that is what we would have been looking at, right? If not Kevin Durant joining. So I think that was really a necessary trade for the NBA at the time. You know what I mean?
So that's Sports T talking to Mel, and basically they're mentioning here when we're talking about the eras and whose era was it, they're mentioning Steph Curry here, and Mel basically was like, oh, well, the rings are hard because Steph teamed up, but she's basically saying like, yeah, but it kind of equaled out because LeBron James has been teaming up and he teamed up, and then she also mentions how, oh, well, it was kind of equal, which is something a lot of people don't talk about, but I actually agree with that. And before you just shut me off and tell me to shut up and be quiet, listen to what I'm about to say for a second. Give it 2 seconds, all right? Essentially, and she kind of is saying this as well, it was even because you're looking at the matchups, and LeBron James basically built a super team, whether you like it or not. Kevin Love was a great player. LeBron James looked outside, saw Kevin Love averaging 30 and 30 at times. Okay, not for a season, but he had some weeks or so where he was literally averaging like 30 and 30. He was that good. It was Dwight Howard, and then it was Kevin Love. Okay? Now, he wasn't the dominant character that that Dwight was on defense, but rebounding-wise and scoring in the post, Kevin Love was tough. He went to Cleveland. He stopped getting points in the paint because LeBron has to be able to drive. Kevin Love could always shoot the three, but that wasn't like the only part of his game. But similar to Chris Bosh, when you join a LeBron James team, somehow you end up on the perimeter shooting three-point shots. Continuing, though, with that, Kevin Love was traded for Andrew Wiggins, who Andrew Wiggins at the time was supposed to be the next Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan type, right? People were like, oh, wow, you got to get him. And I always said that the fact that LeBron James traded him, in my opinion, was a mistake, because that could have been your Scottie Pippen if you wanted to stay in Cleveland, LeBron. But, of course, he doesn't have patience. He wants to win right now all the time, no matter what that means for everybody else around him, no matter what that means for the franchise moving forward. And I thought he miscalculated that, because Wiggins, with the right training, if LeBron James is this guru that everybody says he is, might have been able to train up his Scottie Pippen like Michael Jordan did. But that didn't happen. So you have Kevin Love, and he saw Kyrie Irving over there. He was like, yeah, I got to play with him. Kyrie Irving is one of the best players we've ever seen. One of the best finishers, one of the best shooters, one of the best ball handlers ever. Okay? And in the next batch of players that are put on the all whatever team, like top 75, I guess the next one would be the top, I guess the next one would be the top 100, right? So I guarantee Kyrie Irving will be on that team. And essentially, you're taking those two players. You got J.R. Smith, you got Iman Shumpert, all right? You got Channing Frye, you got Richard Jefferson. Tristan Thompson at the time was probably one of the best rebounders and defenders in the entire NBA. because he could guard out on bigger. He could guard bigger players, and he could also get out on the perimeter and slide his feet to stay with smaller players. Right? So they had a squad. Don't get it twisted. They had a squad, and technically they had 3 superstar caliber players at the time when they decided to come together. Despite what you may think about Kevin Love and how he played, he had to play a role because of LeBron James. So it took away from some of his game. But before that, and LeBron definitely knew that Kevin Love was a bad boy. So when the Golden State Warriors picked up Kevin Durant, what she's saying is it automatically kind of equaled it out. And I actually agree with that. Why? Steph Curry versus Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was arguably the best player when they beat them in a 3-1 comeback. People forget that. So Steph Curry was the unanimous MVP, but he got outplayed by a guy at his position in Kyrie Irving, who killed him, basically. The game winner over him, technically. Then you have Klay Thompson versus J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert. Kind of a wash there, right? At the small forward, you have Kevin Durant versus LeBron James. What do you know? What do you know? What a matchup, right? You have Kevin Love versus Draymond Green, right? And then you have Tristan Thompson versus whoever they were starting in that series. At the time, it was either Bogut, Festus Ezeli, but Bogut got hurt. So essentially, it was, and then Festus got hurt too. So I think it ended up, I don't know who ended up playing center at the time. But essentially, like she said, it was fairly equal. If you look at the numbers and the averages of all those players, it was fairly equal down the board. The problem was Steph Curry and Kevin Durant just beat the crap out of them. It's that simple. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant were better than LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. They were just better. And that's why they won. But nobody wants to look at it that way or admit the truth, but that is the truth. So she's basically saying that the rings equal out because they both played on some super teams, right? And that it was fairly equal, even though people don't want to say that, in those runs. The Cavs didn't lose a lot, once they got to the until they got to the finals. I think they only lost 1 or 2 games, and I think the Warriors lost more games, I think, heading into that finals against the Rockets. So the Cavaliers won their series a lot faster and easier. Warriors were in Game 7 with the Rockets, I believe. So, it wasn't as lopsided as history and LeBron tries to get you to think it is. Let's continue.
You can see but see, Dominic, all of that is true. Everything you said is true. Yeah. The connection, though, like LeBron or Curry, what their rings have, the rings that they have accumulated is not a direct proportion of.
And so you're saying the whole conversation is just a fake, a phony.
Yeah, it shouldn't. We shouldn't because we should have never had it for.
So who are the players then? Is it Kawhi Leonard? Who do we look at then?
No, the greatest players of this era. I think it's Kobe. I think it's Kobe. I mean, what era are we talking about? The last 10 years? Or are we talking about?
So you don't believe that LeBron James had an era? We're just going to say he didn't have an era then, because okay? So there's no LeBron James era. It's the Kobe Bryant era until when? Because then who would be the greatest player?
Until he tore his Achilles. And then...
So then who's the greatest player then? From 2016 to...
I don't think we have one. I mean, because the way you prove it is by competing against the best, not teaming up with them.
And so Mel again hit the nail right on top of the head, man. They said, well, who was the best era, best in the era, and whose era was it? Now, a lot of people nowadays, I won't say a lot, but some people, because of, Nick Wrong and Shannon Sharp and some of these clowns out there that just be talking, they try to act like Kobe was never the best player in the world. I think I heard Draymond Green say that too. That's one of the reasons I can't stand Draymond Green, is because he, again, is another convenient hypocrite liar when it comes to LeBron James. LeBron James kicked him in his I think hit him in his private parts or something like that, and then he went after LeBron's private parts or whatever happened in 2016. He called him the B word, and then all of a sudden after that they're besties, they're best friends, and he's a part of Clutch Sports. Now all of his praise and adulation goes towards LeBron James, but he also had said Kobe didn't really have an era, and he was He was just saying nonsense about Kobe Bryant. But yet, this is the same guy that was talking trash to Paul Pierce and said, "What do you think you're Kobe?" You know what I mean? So you do recognize how great Kobe Bryant was. You're just trying to act like he wasn't to lie for LeBron, which is, one I can't deal with people like that. Say it with your chest, man. You're just lying. So that was one of the things Mel said, but then he also kind of moved over to the idea that because you do these team up balls, we don't really know that you're the best. It could have been Carmelo, right? And I actually agree with that, and I've said that on multiple occasions. If you're taking the easy way out, LeBron James should not have had 4 rings the way he currently is constructed. He should not have had that. You want to talk about KD going over to the Warriors, though. KD only went to the Warriors because of what LeBron James did previously, which is create this super team with Cleveland. That team should have never been. He's sitting up here manipulating things behind the background, trying to act like he's this great player. But is he really? Was he really better than Derrick Rose? Was he really better than Paul George at the time? We know PG now is a shell of himself. But at the time, he had that Pacers team cooking, right? Derrick Rose was a great all-star by himself trying to fight against a super team, Miami Heat. Even the Atlanta Hawks were getting beat by that. They got beat by the Celtics team, who was a super team, an older one, and that Heat team, I believe. So, not that the East was this overall juggernaut, but they had a few teams that were trying to compete at that time. Even Carmelo Anthony on the Knicks, right? Tried to compete, but this Miami Heat super team with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, they had Shane Battier, Ray Allen at times, Rashad Lewis, they had Jermaine O'Neal, they had Big Z, they had Eddie House, they had all these players, Chalmers, Norris Cole. They had all these players, and then they're sitting up there beating down on everybody else, and LeBron James is banging on his chest. It's ridiculous. Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal were on the same team. Kobe didn't join Shaq. Shaq didn't join Kobe. They didn't know how good Kobe was going to be. He just became great. They never gave Kobe Bryant or Shaquille O'Neal the benefit of those MVPs that they deserved because they played with each other. So they kept giving them to everybody else. Kevin Garnett. Dirk, I think, one year. Tim Duncan. They just wouldn't give it to Kobe and Shaq. But all of a sudden, LeBron James is on a super team. And Mel hinted at this also. Them trying so hard to market LeBron James. They gave him like 2 MVPs on the Heat. Are you kidding me? You didn't give that same luxury to Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. So how the heck does LeBron James get it? Oh yeah, because the league was in his back pocket. You know what I mean? So that's crazy to me. And we did get cheated out of who actually was the best player of that time. Especially on LeBron James's watch. Who was the best player? People were so quick to say LeBron, but in my opinion, I'm like, wasn't he the only person on a super team? So how is he the best because he had a super team? That doesn't make sense. I think he was winning championships averaging 25, 26 points a game. Why? Because he had 2 other super players on his team. Like, what are we talking about here, man? And he wasn't just on a good team that got good, not like the Celtics now or the Thunder, who just became really good, or the Knicks, who got the right role players and took a chance on Jalen Brunson. We're not talking about those teams. We're talking about 3 superstar players. LeBron, Bosh, Wade. Superstar. Olympic level players. Right? And I know some guys on the Olympic team are not the elite, but these 3 guys were elite. All capable of averaging 24, 25 points a game. On their own teams. So what do you think is going to happen when they join together? So Mel is 100% right here, and I feel the exact same way, and I've felt this way for a long time. It just doesn't make sense to me how people give LeBron so much credit, but he was on super teams winning these games. So was he really the best? What did he do when he was on Cleveland? Kept getting smoked. Couldn't finish the job. Now, if he joined the Miami Heat and it was just him and Wade, I'd still have a problem with that because they're similar positions, and they were both at the time top 5 players in the league. That's kind of, you're kind of sad for that. That's kind of, it's kind of whack in my opinion. That's still taking advantage. But if if LeBron James joined a big man at the time, I wouldn't have been as mad. If he joined Chris Bosh at Toronto, I wouldn't have been as mad. I'm fine with that. But he knows what he did. All three of them know what they did. They tried to stack the deck. That's why you say 8, 9, 10. Don't nobody go to a press conference and say we're going to win 8 championships in a row unless you know you cheated. And you thought you cheated the system. But you were wrong. You were wrong. Kept losing to old Tim Duncan. And that's another thing. Why is he better than Tim Duncan? He couldn't beat old Tim Duncan. He didn't beat young Tim Duncan. He had trouble with Tim Duncan. But yeah, he better than Tim Duncan, who's 5-1 in the finals, mind you, and won 2 of them against LeBron. LeBron got saved by Ray Allen and Chris Bosh on one of them. So I'm 100% with Mel there. I've always been with Mel on this, and it's something that I've wondered for a long time. We keep giving this man credit for cheating. So people want to put him over Kobe Bryant, for example. How the heck does he go over Kobe Bryant when Kobe Bryant won all his championships the right way? There was no quick fix for Kobe Bryant. And you might say, oh, well, Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol is nowhere near no superstar player. He had no playoff wins by himself, even though he got there twice. He was like a one-time All-Star. LeBron James and Pau Gasol wouldn't have did anything. But you're trying to tell me Kobe gets Pau. In fact, the Heat team was formed, the Super Team Heat, in part based on what Wade said, because they were scared of Kobe and Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol going to the Lakers made them so scared that they decided to team up. You got to be kidding me. Pau Gasol. Imagine if they gave Kobe Bryant Chris Paul back then. A real superstar player. Please. Let's close out and see what the rest of what they have to say is.
Okay. So we cannot connect anybody.
So we got cheated out of being able to definitively find out who was it. It could have been Carmelo. Like if the NBA wasn't hell-bound on marketing LeBron, they would have never gave him the Rookie of the Year over Carmelo. So what happens then if Carmelo gets that Rookie of the Year? What kind of momentum does he gain? What happens if Carmelo gets drafted by Detroit and comes in winning rings with Detroit? The LeBron era never is it. What happens if he goes to New York and just has Stoudemire and Bosh goes to Cleveland with LeBron and Boozer goes to Miami with Wade, and it's only 2 superstars per team, and they're all battling it out to see who's the best. Like, we never got a chance to see that. We seen someone team up with 3 superstars on one team, and it was just an unfair advantage. And I mean, like, how I can't tell by those 2 rings that he got that he was better than everybody that was in his era. I couldn't tell that. It's just a bunch of chess moves off the court that make you look like you're the best, but you're not.
Well, that is a really good take, Mel. I love it.
And there you go, right there. Again, Mel, thank you, man. Thank you. And again, shout out to Man Down Sports. Shout out to Sports T, because, listening to these channels, these are people that I listen to that basically made me decide, like, yo, I think I got some good things to say too. And, I'd like to join the conversation of people that are against this nonsense. And when you sit here and you're listening, it's good to see that I'm not the only person that feels this way. LeBron James cheated the system. And was he really better than everybody else? No, he just had more talent on his team than everybody else has. How does that make you the best player? They dang near gave him Rookie of the Year because it should have been Carmelo. Carmelo Anthony was like Player of the Month, like every month. And he's the only person to win it like that and never be the Rookie of the Year. Is that a coincidence? No. And I also think it's funny how, just throwing this out there, even though it's not necessarily a part of this video, but I recently saw a tweet by LeBron James, and he's saying, like, the NBA is rigged, and different things like that. He was talking about on his pod, like, I think it was on, actually it was on the Pat McAfee one, I think, where he said, like, how did Patrick Ewing get to the Knicks? How did I get to the Cavaliers? How did Derrick Rose get to the Chicago Bulls? And while I do think that there's some truth to that, you also have to ask, how the heck did you win Rookie of the Year, sir? How did you win 2 MVPs on a super team when Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal weren't on a super team and they weren't allowed to win MVP during that time period? Even the years they didn't win, there was like a 4 or 5 year window where you could have gave it to Shaq or Kobe, dang near every time. And they only gave one to Shaq the first time, when they thought Kobe was still maybe, leftovers. And then they realized, like, oh snap, this boy Kobe Bryant, he nice. So you know what, Shaq, no more MVPs for you. You got it too easy. But all of a sudden, LeBron James comes along and it's not easy anymore. So I rock with everything Mel said. I 100% agree. I really appreciate it. Sports T, I agree with what you said as well. LeBron James, it's just been fraudulent, man. You can't tell who the best player is when he plays on the best team because he manipulated the game in the background. And that can't be understated. He manipulated the game off the court because he couldn't be good enough on it. And yeah, I said it. He wasn't good enough on the court, so he had to manipulate the game off of the court. And he was afraid. He was a coward. He was afraid to not win championships. He was not Kobe Bryant. He was not Michael Jordan. He didn't have that in him. He didn't have the silent confidence of a Tim Duncan. He didn't have the silent confidence of a Steph Curry. And I know people say, well, didn't Kevin Durant go over there? I'll say this. Steph stayed on his own team. He won a ring twice without him, and he never left. So when we talk about eras and stuff like that, I'm going to take it a step further than Mel and Sports T. To me, this is the Steph Curry era. We're living in the Steph Curry era. And ironically, until he got hurt, and I'm watching this game right now, and actually, let me just take a look. The Golden State Warriors are actually winning without Steph, 60-58. I still think the Timberwolves are going to win this game, but they're fighting without him because he, hurt his hamstring. Steph was the last one cooking, and he was playing well. Why is it that he lasted and Kevin Durant didn't even make it, and LeBron James is at home in the first round with Luka Doncic on his team and Austin Reeves, Hillbilly Kobe? I'll tell you why. Because it's really Steph's era, and that's my opinion. You don't have to love it. I'll do a video on that another day. But just a nice little dessert with the end of this video. To me, we're in the Steph Curry era. Yeah, he had the super team also. He had KD on his team. But at the end of the day, at least he stayed on his own team. At least he's the only one with a dynasty. Right? At least he was able to beat LeBron James' super team with his own. Right? So, we're going to end the video there. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you lasted this long. Please try to listen to the videos all the way, because then you get all the, how everything ties together and becomes something special, If you just cut off the video at the beginning or in the middle, you're not getting the full meal. I want you to get the full meal. So please like, share, and subscribe. Also, please comment. I love to talk to people in the comments. I love to debate about sports. Am I wrong? Am I off? Am I right? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Please feel free to comment. Also, don't click off immediately, because we have some other suggested videos that I know you will love. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that you get all of our videos and don't miss anything. I really greatly appreciate your time. I'm very humble. Much love. Tell that somehow you'll never get over leaving me. And when you feel like